Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are 1 week out on the Preakness. I am joined by Jessica Tugwell. We are going to discuss the top 10 most memorable moments in Preakness history, according to Jessica. She's new to the channel. She's providing some good content. So we figured, hey, it's Preakness week. Let's let Jessica tell us her most memorable moments. We've all got some, but we'll run through them one at a time. Top 10. Jessica, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing?
Doing well. Yeah, getting a little excited. I mean, it's kind of a little bit of a letdown of a field, I think, but we'll see. You never know. I think we might have a legit Triple Crown run here, but we'll get into that another time. But yeah, let's hop right into it. We've got Jessica's top 10 most memorable moments, and I'm sure you guys will agree with at least a few of them because I know I did. But before we jump into the top 10, let's take a look at a couple of Jessica's honorable mentions. Jessica, why don't you introduce this next one because it's a wild one.
Yeah, so this is a fan getting onto the track and trying to punch Artax. This wasn't technically a Preakness race, but it was on the Preakness undercard. So I had to include this. Just one of the most wild things I think that has probably happened on Preakness Day.
Yeah, I remember that specifically, and it was seriously, that's suicide. I mean, you're lucky to get out of there alive. The idiot's out there. I mean, what are you doing, dude? I mean, he literally had to be thinking that he might die on the track. I mean, how many beers did that take? It's incredible.
Right. I think they said he came from the infield, so that
yeah, so he was pretty toned up, probably liquored up, doing shots all day or whatever else. But yeah, I mean, the history of all recorded video, that thing sticks out to me because I'm just like, it's so unnatural to see that. So I'm like, Neil Armstrong, the one small step for mankind. You got the Immaculate Reception in the NFL. You got the Miracle on Ice. Jesse Owens against Hitler in the 36 Olympics. These are like the most memorable moments in all of recorded history. And then this one, man, that one's crazy. If that's not in your top 10, man, I mean,
yeah, that's why I was like, look, I know it's not actually the Preakness, but it was Preakness Day, and you have to talk about it.
I guess that's why I can justify it being outside of the top 10, but one more honorable mention.
And yeah, this was another one where it was just the only thing anybody was talking about after the race was, did you see that Bodexpress dropped the rider at the start? Or, if you didn't know anything about horse racing, like, oh, did you see a horse ran the Preakness without a rider? And it's funny because I actually worked for the racing office at this time. So I watched this race from the winner's circle. And I have pictures of just Bodexpress running by. And, poor War of Will, who won the race, was kind of an afterthought to the riderless horse.
Yeah, that's anytime that happens. I mean, it happened in one of the Derby prep races this year too, where it was, I think it was one of the New York races. I'm drawing a blank, but anytime that happens, that gets all the attention. First of all, it's dangerous. I mean,
your heart drops. I mean, everybody on the track was like holding their breath, and then after the fact, it's like, okay, everyone was okay. And this is the only story out of the race. I had actually almost forgotten about it, but because I'd been looking at so many Preakness videos on YouTube, it like came up in my suggested videos, like literally it was just like loose horse at the Preakness. And I was like, oh yeah, I guess we should talk about that.
Honorable mention, didn't quite crack the top 10, but here we go. Now let's go to number 10. This is a legendary moment that, I mean, I know I don't forget. It turns into a more legendary moment slightly later, but go ahead, Jessica, why don't you tell us a little bit about this one?
Yeah, number 10 is American Pharoah winning the Preakness in the rain with ease. And this was a fun one because this was the first Preakness I ever attended. I was doing work as a PA for TVG at the time. And right before the race, as they were walking over, the skies just opened up and it just downpoured. And there was some like lightning and stuff. And I had been right by the finish line on the rail getting ready to watch it. And security was ushering everybody inside with like 3 minutes to post. So I was like, oh shoot, where am I need to watch this race. So thankfully I had a press pass. So I was able to get up to the top, and you can actually see in the stretch run that there's not that many people deep on the rail. And part of that is because a lot of them were just ushered inside. So this was a really memorable one for me, and also really memorable because Taylor Verve ran second, and I had the exacta because I saw that horse get off the van, and I was like, who is that? And he looked really good that week. And I mean, that was easily the best race of his life, was running second to American Pharoah. But
It's a good horse to get second to, but yeah, like you said, it's funny how we often remember some of our bigger bets or smarter bets. Like in this case, you're exact. I've got one coming up that, spoiler alert, that along the same line for me. So yeah, American Pharoah dominant. Obviously, went on to break that 30-year drought of Triple Crown winners. An absolute monster. I love Pharoah to this day. So good to see that one in there. So we have 9 more on top of this one. Let's jump in. Number 9. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Number
This is a
9
wild one.
is the controversy with Codex and Angel Cordero impeding potentially genuine risk in the Preakness. She made this big move, which you don't really see here because I just wanted to focus on this was like the steward's view that they showed on the replay of he came out into the stretch. And I mean, Cordero was an aggressive rider known for that. And kind of genuine risk was making this big move. And he kind of gets Codex out a little bit, just kind of they have a little, it's hard to even tell really with the quality of the video and stuff if they really made contact, but she was definitely intimidated and never went by.
It kind of looks like there's a moment when the horse darts out that kind of reminds you of the maximum security moment.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, there is a moment where, like you said, the footage, it's 1980. It's not high def stuff. So it does look like the jockey reaches back and whips the horse in the face. Neither one of us, I was barely alive for this one, but definitely wasn't around watching this one. But I can't imagine, like, if this happened today, there's
no way.
Yeah, it's crazy.
He
so
definitely gets DQ'd, I'd think.
Yeah, even without the whip to the face accusation, just the fact that it darted outside. I mean, if you rewatch the maximum security Kentucky Derby, very similar. The horse darts to the outside, spooked by the crowd or whatever happened there. But yeah, it was a big one. And yeah, this would have been a different story in modern times, but we're talking like 40 years ago or whatever. So let's go. Number 8. What do we have here, Jessica?
So this is Curlin running down Street Sense in the 2007 Preakness Stakes. This is another one that I had like a kind of special connection to because I was on the phone, like a lot of people. My dad's the one who got me into horse racing, and I was on the phone with my dad for this race and like telling him what was going on, giving him the play-by-play. And, top of the stretch, I'm like, Street Sense has it. I was, like, we're going to have a Triple Crown set up. And I was like, wait, no, Curlin's, Curlin's coming. Oh, Curlin got him, I think. So that was just a fun one.
That was actually, I loved Street Sense. And I thought like, every year, especially in that era, because of the 30-year drought that was happening, it was like, it was going to be Big Brown. Then it was going to be, Smarty Jones, Street Sense, a lot of great horses that didn't get the Triple Crown. But I thought Street Sense coming, he was so good as a 2-year-old. Came in, won the Derby. Thought he was going to be a Triple Crown threat for sure. Curlin nailed him though. I mean, and looking back now, that's 2 legends, really. I mean,
and another back in third with Hard Spun.
Yeah, exactly. So there's years like that where you have 2 or 3 legends, and then there's years like last year, which if Rich Strike doesn't win the Kentucky Derby, I don't think anybody really remembers a lot of those horses. Doesn't, not to say that there wasn't some great ones in there, but these 2 were legends. So that was a good year, 07.
Yeah, I think that was the best 3-year-old crop of my lifetime, without a doubt.
It's up there for sure. Yeah, I mean, there's still you still hear those names every day, for sires and whatever else. Yeah, that's 2 of the big guns for sure.
This year's Kentucky Derby was the first and third place finisher were the sire or grandsire and the 2 grandsires, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. All right, what do we have at number 7? Let's go.
At number 7, we have Silver Charm in a 3-way photo. So this was the Silver Charm free house.
Everybody's favorite trainer.
Yeah. And I mean, how does
Bobby
he get
Baffert,
here?
a legend on the channel.
You got to think it's the horse coming up on the outside who kind of gets him past free house, because he didn't look like he was going to go past, and then he managed to gut it out and get there.
Yeah, I remember that one. That's about the time when I started watching horse racing and paying attention, was Silver Charm, when Baffert had that great run in the late 90s. Like that was kind of my introduction. Silver Charm, one of my earliest dominant horses when I first started getting into this stuff pretty heavily. So yeah, I remember that. Monster horse for Baffert. He had so many. Yeah, that was it. One of those finishes where I didn't have money on it. I was too. I guess I didn't have that much interest at that point. But man, that would have been a panic attack coming down the stretch for sure
Right.
with the way that thing finished up.
Yeah. No matter who you had, you were.
What do we have at number 6?
At 6, we have Swiss Skydiver outlasting Authentic in the 2020 Preakness Stakes.
This was my spoiler alert. And here's why. You mentioned it earlier with the you had the exacta on the American Pharoah race. This one, I just had a feeling, and to go with your gut sometimes is the right move. Sometimes in gambling it isn't, but I just loved Swiss Skydiver on this day because, quite frankly, I thought Authentic was a fraud. I didn't believe Authentic was going to win the Kentucky Derby. Say what you will with Baffert and the juice accusations and all that stuff with Authentic, but I didn't believe in Authentic, and the other big names that year didn't race in the Preakness. It was Tiz the Law, and I can't remember. I mean, you see in the picture here, Art Collector came back good, but Swiss Skydiver, the filly, baby, we loved it. You love to see it at 11-1 on the graphic. I was trying to remember the odds when we were talking about all these memories. I was like, man, I think she was like 6 or 8-1. Turns out it was 11-1. So let's watch that clip.
Yeah, and she comes up here early. Like, this is after a half a mile, and she had been a little bit behind and comes up through. And I mean, these two go at it the whole way around the turn, the whole way down the stretch, and she just does not let Authentic by.
Huge performance.
Yeah, this is absolutely so impressive that you don't see horses go head to head like this the whole way around the track and just keep going. I mean, they put everybody else way behind them.
Yeah, they're all 100 miles behind. And I had a bunch of money on it, 11-1. I'm sitting there going, Skydiver's on the rail. I thought she was done for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, she looked nailed right here.
Right here? Yeah. No, you think not a chance. And she comes back actually by a full head where she had been.
That's one of my best memories, just based on the fact the winning bet. You love to see a filly win, but on top of that, it was just like all the plus Authentic lost. It's like a lot of good stuff for me. And my family's out in the front yard doing whatever they were doing that day. I was watching this race. I was screaming. My family heard me. They rushed in the house, thought something was wrong with me. So that's how much that race. I'll never forget that. That was a great one.
That's how you know it was a good race.
Yeah. I mean, aside from I think I probably would have been yelling like that even if I didn't have money on it, because it's cool to see a filly win, especially when 11-1. It's not supposed to win that. So
yeah.
All right, top 5. Here we go. What do we have next?
All right, next we have an absolute classic. Affirmed and Alydar is Derby rematch coming in the Preakness. There's not a lot to say about Affirmed and Alydar. I mean,
yeah, what are you going to say? I mean, that's like you said, that's two legends in a duel, 100 miles in front of everybody else. It's a classic.
Yeah, just left the rest behind. And, just as in every other Triple Crown race, Alydar never switched leads in this race. And it makes you wonder with the margin of victory that if Alydar had been a little better at switching his leads and getting that kind of extra burst, whether things could have been reversed in that rivalry throughout the Triple Crown.
That's probably the best rivalry in horse racing history. I mean, arguably, it probably is, though. They matched up 10 times or something like that. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Like, wild. 1978 to race 10 times against each other. You'll never see that again.
Never. No. You're lucky if you get ones facing each other 2 or 3, 4 times. Yeah, you won't see something like this again.
Last year, I remember thinking it was a great. Was it last year or the year before with Hot Rod Charlie and Midnight Bourbon kept on colliding, and I'm talking like 3 or 4 times max. Imagine it 10 times.
Right.
That's why it kind of sucks that the horses just don't have the careers that go more than a year or 2 now.
Yeah, exactly.
For financial reasons, I get it, but it kind of sucks.
Yeah, and hopefully this year we'll get like Secret Oath and Clairiere have kind of started going back and forth a little bit, but yeah, no, we'll never see anything like this again. I would love to see
10 times.
Yeah,
not gonna see 10 times ever again, I don't think. All right, moving along. Let's keep it rolling here. Number 4. What do we got?
We got another filly in the Preakness, the first filly to win it in 85 years, Rachel Alexandra.
I mean, dominant. She does get closed on by the Derby champion, but
But yeah, no,
Look
and
at
she
that.
had to
Just
go quick.
dominant.
Big drama went with her in the early stages, and he stopped, finishing I think 5th there, and she just went on with it. And I mean, you have Calvin Burrell getting off the Derby winner and then managing to ride the Preakness winner. That was, he knew.
85 years. Think about that, folks. You might have a couple people watching this video that are 85. I don't know. Who knows? But that's a long time, brother. There wasn't even, I don't know. Maybe I was going to say there wasn't even electricity back then, but who knows? I mean, what are we going to do? Maybe a slight exaggeration, but listen, that was sweet. And then Swiss Skydiver runs it back, not long after that.
Mm-hmm.
I was hoping, you always love to see a filly in there that can mix it up.
Yeah, definitely. It's always fun.
Rachel Alexandra had that lead pretty early on and just
she went to the front. That was what she did. She's front runner and she monster. Just rolled.
All right, we're moving in now. Here we go. Here goes the top 3, the podium, if you will.
Yeah, these 3 were hard to separate. So
this is Jessica's top 3. This is the podium, baby, of the history of the Preakness. Let's go. Number 3.
Secretariat. I mean, this move he bakes early in the race is just something you do not see a horse do and then win. Like, if you see a horse do that, it's because they're running away with a rider and they're going to fade, middle move, and just fade. They were going really pretty slow, I think, early, and he just knew it and came up.
I mean, it's just really silly. I think you or I could have rode Secretariat to wins. And
yeah.
It's a freak show.
Yeah, absolutely.
An absolute freak show. I mean, let's be honest. You couldn't make any horse racing list without Secretariat being up near the front at least. Yeah, even if it's a personal memory thing like this kind of is for you, still, because I mean, it's
just watching the video.
Right in the title, breathtaking. It's absurd.
Yeah, like even having only seen it on the video, and like I'm glad that in the Disney movie they just put the real footage. They didn't try to recreate that, because you would have never been able to capture that in manufacture that movie.
It would have looked just silly.
Yeah, I mean, to me, their Derby win looked silly enough with Sham and a choke at the finish line, but
not to mention the Belmont. I mean, it's just freak show, biggest freak show in all of sports history. That's why it was the only non-human being named in ESPN's top 100 greatest athletes of all time, and a lot of people gave horse racing industry shit over that, and I'm like, man, I really just don't think you're paying attention. If you don't get it,
this horse,
I mean, that's like me saying no tennis player, because I never played tennis, no tennis player should be. It's just ignorant.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, Secretariat, greatest of all time, unquestionably. Just another ho-hum stellar performance right there. So,
right.
All right. Who could possibly top Secretariat number 2, Jessica? Who we have?
Sunday Silence and Easy Goer. One of the greatest stretch duels, and another fantastic rivalry, even though it was only 4 times, but they were 1-2 each of those 4 times, and it came down to the wire in 3 of them. And 2 of them in particular, but this
2 of them branching out with a big...
Sorry, go ahead. But yeah, this was just incredible.
Forget about it. Yeah, definitely. That is unbelievable. Another two more legends going at it head to head. Shout out to Colin Sheehan on the channel, by the way, because I mean, this guy, I don't know how much you pay attention to our videos, Jessica, but the horse Loggins that was in the 2-year-old campaign for the early Derby preps.
Mm-hmm.
He was obsessed with the Forte and Loggins head-to-head stretch run matchup. It's become just a practical joke on this channel to bring up Loggins at every step of the way.
That was the only
it did kind of look eerily similar to this battle here. But Colin, please watch this clip and then come back and talk about Loggins again. I dare you. So I had to throw that in. I got to rib Colin.
Fair enough.
He likes to come on and jab me once in a while. So
hey, Loggins is the only one who's really given Forte a big challenge. So we'll give him that.
That was the justification early on. and then it just spun out of control.
Now it's just yeah.
Now it's a you know, a footnote that almost every video contains some kind of logins reference, even if the horse never races again, because we haven't seen him in 6 months or whatever. But
that's fantastic.
All right, I don't know. Should we do some kind of dramatic pause intro? Got number 1 coming up.
Can you think of any that I've missed that you would have added?
I can, and it would have been the same one, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I don't want to spoiler alert the crew here, but yeah, there's, and by the way, like, I think I read something on this not too long ago, like maybe a year ago. I agree. Outside of maybe Ghost Zapper, the best horse to not win the Triple Crown, at least you know, in the top few horses to not win the Triple Crown, that was just a monster. So any other introduction before I do the spoiler here? We'll just kick it off. Everybody's
yeah,
waiting.
let's just go for it.
Bingo. Affleet Alex.
This is just one of the most remarkable races. I started following racing in the fall of 2004. So this was one of the first races really that like stuck with me, that I remember like watching and be, oh my God. And he just went on with it and won easily in the end after nearly going to his, actually going to his knees at the top of the stretch. Just absolutely dominant performance. What an athletic horse Affleet Alex was.
Yeah, look at this. Unbelievable the horse stayed up. Just shrank, but Jeremy Rose hanging on too. Like
yeah, absolutely. Both of them.
I don't know what was more impressive. Honestly, they both.
Yeah, no, they both. Yeah, and poor Ramon on Scrappy T, the horse just got away from him, blew the turn, and I'm sure he felt horrible. You could see him looking back, like making sure everything was okay there. But thankfully, it all worked out and ended up being one of my most memorable Preakness moment.
Yeah, it's right. I guess I could throw. Secretariat. Everything that horse did could be. You could make a case for being number 1 on any list, but yeah, that's up there. That Affleet Alex. Besides the dude running out punching animals in the stretch run on Preakness Day, which was not the Preakness itself. So yeah, that's why that one gets
honorable mention only.
yeah, because that was that's like I said, that was up there with Neil Armstrong, the moonwalk here. So yeah, that was fun. That was a good recap. Brought back some memories. You don't see these clips every day. I think most of them are familiar with any horse racing fans, but you did a good job with that. I agree. Like I said before we started recording, I probably would have had 6 of those myself. So yeah, Swiss Skydiver was up there for me immediately. That was the first one I thought. I wonder if she's going to put Swiss Skydiver on there.
Yeah.
You got to love the fillies. Anything else? That was a little trip down memory lane on the Preakness. We'll probably do something like that again for the Belmont because that was pretty fun. That was
that was a good time.
Good idea to throw back because I think a lot of these were 50 years ago, 30 years ago, stuff like that. You don't think about them.
Yeah, exactly. It was fun just going back and I watched a whole bunch of replays of different Preaknesses and it was a good time trying to put this list together. And the top 5, you kind of just like, oh, yep, do. But then trying to get kind of the ones at the bottom, I was like, well, let me make sure I'm not forgetting anything. And I'd forgotten how impressive Swiss Skydiver was in that race. Like I remember the stretch duel, you see that, but how early she engaged with Authentic and went the whole way around. That was what made that race impressive.
And then like 3/4 of the way down through the stretch run, I thought she was beat for sure. When she just kicked on, it was like, wow, it was definitely up there. Might have been a little higher on my list, but again, maybe influenced by the money aspect of it for me. But so lastly, I guess we'll close it out with this thought. Is Mage going to win the Preakness, and is Mage going to be a threat to win the Triple Crown in your eyes? Because your expertise is pedigree. Is that horse capable of doing it?
I think he is. I think he's capable of it. I don't know if he will. There's just so much luck involved. But I think, he's going to be favored in the Preakness, and he deserves to be a pretty significant favorite.
Even money
in the Preakness.
Yeah.
I think he's going to win the Preakness. and then the Belmont is just a matter of who shows up. There are a couple who might come back that I think could be a little scary for him. Like Tappet Trice comes to mind. I think that horse is going to love Belmont, but he absolutely, I think, could do it. I don't think you have to worry about him getting the distance or anything. He's especially for a horse with such little experience, he seems very mature.
Yeah, that's the only knock you can really throw at him, as we haven't seen that much, but that was the knock on him going to the Derby, and he just got it done.
Exactly.
He hasn't shown any flaws. I think the Preakness is a pretty overall weak field for him. Of course, anybody can step up and have the race of their life, but yeah, it looks to me like he's going to get to the Belmont with a chance at it. The Belmont, like you said, I think you're going to have some. You might even have Angel of Empire come back. You might even have Forte, which I doubt, but there's going to be some heavier hitters in the Belmont than there is in the Preakness. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think we'll have a shot at the Triple Crown this year, and it'll be really exciting if we do.
Absolutely. Jessica, anything else to close it out?
Nope, that's it. Thanks for letting me put this together.
That was a great list. Fun. I enjoyed it. We'll do it again. Maybe we'll do it again for the Belmont. Who knows?
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. Peace out.